Captain Jin Kim stared silently through the viewport of his ship, watching the enormous space station slowly grow larger as they approached. The Vrexian trade hub looked less like a station and more like a small moon, covered in millions of glowing lights, docking bays, and orbital structures. Ships from 100 different worlds moved around it in every direction, flowing through space like insects around a giant hive. To most of the galaxy, this place represented unity. To Jin Kim, it was a reminder. This was supposed to be a simple diplomatic assignment. Sign a few agreements, exchange formal greetings, shake some alien hands, then return home. Nothing dangerous, nothing exciting. At least, that was what he believed. He was wrong. The Horizon's Dawn was not a warship. It was a diplomatic vessel, one of Earth's newest ships, sent to represent humanity among the Galactic Coalition. But Earth had only been a member for 15 years, and the other civilizations made sure humanity never forgot it. They were the newcomers, the outsiders, the species still trying to prove it belonged. The Coalition gave humans minor trade agreements and routine patrol missions in quiet regions of space. They were never trusted with important decisions or major military operations. The ancient alien races looked at humanity the same way adults looked at children pretending to be soldiers. It irritated Captain Jin Kim more than he admitted, but he had learned to keep his thoughts private. A good captain did not let pride interfere with duty. "Captain, we've been cleared for docking at Port 17, Lieutenant Yuna Choi reported from her station. She was young, only 24, but already considered one of the fleet's finest communication officers. She could speak 6 alien languages fluently and understand 3 more. They're requesting that we wait 2 hours before the inspection begins." Jin Kim frowned. 2 hours. He looked back at the massive station outside the viewport. Something about the delay bothered him. The Vrexians had been expecting them. The route had been approved. Everything should have been routine. So why did it feel like they were being watched? "Lieutenant," he said quietly, "run a scan of the surrounding traffic." Yuna turned toward him. "Captain, just do it." A moment passed. Then her expression changed. "Captain, there are several ships nearby that aren't broadcasting identification signals." Jin Kim's eyes narrowed. The peaceful diplomatic mission suddenly felt very different, because sometimes the most dangerous moments in history did not begin with a declaration of war. They began with someone saying, "Everything is normal." Hannah Park looked up from her datapad. She was the ship's xenobiologist and spent most of her time studying alien cultures. "That's unusual. Standard procedure is immediate inspection for diplomatic vessels." Tin nodded. "Agreed. Something's off. Yuna, keep monitoring all channels. If something's happening, I want to know about it." The next 2 hours dragged by slowly. The crew went about their duties, but everyone felt the tension. Space stations didn't delay diplomatic ships without a good reason. Finally, a Vexian official appeared on their screen. He had 4 arms, gray skin, and eyes that looked in different directions at once. His translator made his voice sound like gravel in a blender. "Earth vessel, you may dock now. Inspection team will meet you at the airlock." The inspection was boring and lasted 3 hours. The Vrexian team checked every room, every storage compartment, every system log. They asked the same questions 5 different ways. T-Jun watched them carefully. They were nervous about something. The lead inspector kept looking at his communication device every few minutes. When they finally left, Tae-Jin called his senior officers to the bridge. "Hana, Yuna, something's not right here. What did you notice?" "They were scared," Hana said immediately. "I've studied Rexian body language. When they're anxious, their third arm twitches." Every single inspector was twitching. Yuna raised her hand like a student in class. "Captain, I found something. During the inspection, I kept my communication board active. I picked up a strange signal. It's encoded, but the frequency pattern. It's modified human language." T-Jun felt ice in his stomach. "Human language? That's impossible. Earth doesn't have any ships or colonies in this sector." "I know, sir, but the pattern recognition software doesn't lie. Someone human is transmitting from somewhere on this station, and they're using an old military distress code. Show me. Yuna pulled up the signal on the main screen. It was weak and broken, but it was definitely there, a pulse pattern that repeated every 30 seconds. Tijun had learned that pattern in basic training. It meant help, prisoners, danger. Can you trace the source? He asked. Yuna worked her board for 10 minutes, her fingers flying across the controls. It's coming from the restricted sector, the area marked as Calvoth Empire territory. Sir, we're not allowed there. The coalition treaty forbids it. Tae-jin looked at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for his decision. He thought about the rules, about his orders, about the diplomatic incident he might cause. Then he thought about the distress signal, about someone human trapped in a place they shouldn't be. I need to see the station commander now. The Vrexian commander was not happy to see him. The alien kept all forearms crossed and refused to look at Tae-jin directly. Your inspection is complete, Captain. You should leave. I'm picking up a distress signal from the restricted sector. I need to investigate. Impossible. No signals come from there. Your equipment is malfunctioning. Let me check it out. If I'm wrong, I'll file a formal apology and leave. No. The Calvoth territory is protected by treaty. Not even coalition ships may enter without permission. Go back to your ship. Tijun knew he was out of options. The commander wouldn't help. The coalition wouldn't care. If he forced his way into the restricted sector, he'd start an interstellar incident and probably get court-martialed. But that signal kept pulsing in his mind. Help. Prisoners' danger. He made his choice. Back on the horizon's dawn, he gathered his crew. Here's what we're going to do. Yuna, I need you to hack into the station's computer system. Find out what's in that restricted sector and why someone's sending out a human distress signal. Sir, that's a violation of treaty law. I could go to prison. I know. I'm giving you a direct order. If this goes wrong, I'll take full responsibility. Yuna smiled. I was hoping you'd say that, sir. It took her 6 hours, but Yuna was good at her job. She broke through 3 layers of security and found the station's cargo database. What she found made everyone in the room go silent. The database showed cargo manifest for shipments going in and out of Calvoth space. Most of it was normal trade goods, food, metals, technology. But there were also entries labeled biological specimens. The shipments came from dozens of different worlds, including Earth. The quantities were listed in numbers, not weights, and the age range was always the same, 6 to 14 years. Oh God, Hana whispered. These aren't specimens, these are children. Tae-jin forced himself to keep looking at the screen. There were hundreds of entries, maybe thousands. The database went back 10 years. He opened one file at random and found images. Children, alien children from species he recognized. And in one image, 3 human children with identification numbers tattooed on their arms. His hands started shaking. Download everything, every file, every image, every manifest. I don't care how long it takes. Sir, if they detect this download, they'll destroy the evidence and probably kill us. Yuna said quietly. Then we better be fast. Hana, I need you to analyze these files. Find out how big this operation is and who's running it. Dr. Hana worked through the night. What she found was worse than any of them imagined. The slave trade operated across 20 different sectors. It involved 6 major alien empires and had protection from corrupt coalition officials. Children were preferred because they were easier to control and condition. They could be trained for any purpose. Labor, servants, soldiers, worse things that the files only hinted at. And there were 12 human children in the system. They came from a colony transport that disappeared 3 years ago. The official report said pirates destroyed the ship. No survivors, but the truth was in the database. 73 colonists died fighting, but the children were taken. The youngest was 7 years old. The oldest was 12. Chin read the names. He didn't recognize any of them, but it didn't matter. They were human, they were children, and they were slaves. He opened a secure channel to Earth Command. The transmission would take hours to reach home, but he didn't care. He uploaded everything they found, the files, the images, the manifests, all of it. Then he recorded a message. Earth Command, this is Captain Tin Kim of the Horizon's Dawn. I am transmitting evidence of a galactic slave trade network operating under Coalition protection. 12 human children are confirmed as slaves in Calvoth space, taken from the Lost Colony transport. New promise. Hundreds or possibly thousands more children from other species are also enslaved. I am breaking protocol to send this information. I accept any consequences, but Earth needs to know. They took our children. All protocols are void. He sent the message and sat back in his chair. His crew watched him in silence. They all knew what this meant. Their careers were probably over. They might face prison, but none of them looked sorry. What do we do now, sir? Yuna asked. Tijun looked at the star map, at the location of Calvoth space, at the places marked in the database where children were held. Now we wait for Earth to wake up, and then the galaxy is going to learn something about humanity. Outside the viewport, the stars burned cold and distant, but somewhere out there, 12 human children waited in the dark. They wouldn't have to wait much longer, and we haven't even deployed our main fleet yet. The galaxy thought Earth was weak because we're new. Fleet Admiral Ji Woo Kang stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, Earth's largest warship, and watched 400 Earth vessels form up around her. This was every capital ship, carrier, and dreadnought that Earth could field. It was humanity's entire military might gathered in one place. If they lost this battle, Earth would be defenseless. She didn't plan to lose. All ships report ready, Admiral. Captain Yuna said she'd been promoted twice in the last month and now commanded her own carrier. Calvoth base is 30 minutes away at current speed. Any response from the Calvoth Empire? They're refusing all communication. Their fleet is moving to intercept. Current count 2,000 ships. Ju smiled grimly. The Calvoth had numbers on their side. 5-to-1 odds. They probably thought Earth was crazy for attacking. Maybe Earth was crazy, but the intelligence reports were clear. The Calvoth homeworld held the largest slave processing facility in the galaxy. 3,000 children were imprisoned there, including 8 of the original 12 humans. Earth was going to get them back, no matter the cost. All ships. This is Admiral Kang. You know the mission. You know the stakes. Those facilities down there hold 3,000 children who have been waiting years for someone to save them. Today, we're that someone. Today, Earth shows the galaxy what happens when you take our kids. All ships, battle speed. Let's bring our children home. The fleet accelerated into Calvoth space. The Calvoth met them with overwhelming force. 2,000 warships filled space like a wall of metal and weapons. Their commander, Grand Admiral Torvin, broadcast on all channels. Human fleet, you are in violation of Calvoth sovereign space. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. You cannot win this fight. We outnumber you 5-to-1. Be reasonable and leave. Admiral Jaius' response was simple. No. The battle began. Earth's fleet didn't fight like the Calvoth expected. Instead of forming traditional battle lines, they split into dozens of smaller groups that moved like schools of fish. They used tactics the Calvoth had never seen. Drone swarms that overwhelmed shields, cyber attacks that turned Calvoth ships against each other, kinetic weapons fired from stealth platforms that the Calvoth couldn't even detect. Captain Yuna commanded a carrier group that punched straight through the Calvoth defensive line. Her 6 ships moved in perfect coordination, covering each other's weaknesses. When Calvoth vessels tried to surround them, they found themselves facing weapons fire from directions that should have been impossible. Earth had hidden drones throughout the battlefield before the fight even started, waiting silently for the perfect moment to strike. Target their command ship, Yuna ordered. All weapons, fire. The Calvoth command ship was massive, 3 times the size of any Earth vessel. Its shields could take hits from a dozen ships at once. But Earth didn't hit it with a dozen ships. They hit it with 1,000 drones simultaneously, each one carrying a small but powerful explosive. The shields held for 5 seconds. Then they failed. The command ship broke apart in a fireball that lit up space. Grand Admiral Torvin died without ever understanding how humans fought. He'd studied Earth's tactics from their early coalition missions. He knew how they moved, how they thought. But that was the old Earth, the diplomatic Earth, the Earth that played by coalition rules. This was War Earth, and war was something humans had been perfecting for thousands of years. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the Calvoth fleet was destroyed. 1,200 ships reduced to debris. The remaining 800 surrendered. Earth lost 37 vessels and 4,000 soldiers. It was the bloodiest battle in human history since the Unity Wars, but they won. All clear, Una reported. Calvoth orbital defenses are down. The planet is ours. Then let's finish this, Admiral Ju said. General Wu Jin, you're cleared for landing. General Wu Jin Bei had been waiting for this moment. He commanded 20,000 Marines, the best trained and best equipped soldiers Earth had ever produced. Their mission was simple: land on the Calvoth homeworld, fight through whatever defenses remained, reach the slave processing facility, and rescue every single child inside. The landing was brutal. Calvoth ground forces fought with desperation, knowing what mercy they could expect from humans. They were right to be afraid. Earth's Marines showed the same mercy the Calvoth had shown to enslaved children. None. Wu Jin led from the front, his powered armor making him look like a walking tank. His soldiers followed him through the Calvoth capital city, fighting block by block, building by building. The Calvoth military tried to use civilians as shields. The Marines just shot through the shields. Earth had made its choice. Save the children, whatever the cost. Everything else was secondary. General, we've reached the facility entrance, Lieutenant Sunman reported. Heavy resistance. They've sealed all the doors. Then we make new doors. Bring up the plasma charges. The facility was built underground, protected by meters of reinforced concrete and steel. It was designed to survive orbital bombardment. But Earth's engineers had spent weeks planning this assault. They knew exactly where to place charges for maximum effect. The explosion shook the entire city. When the smoke cleared, there was a hole big enough to drop a building through. Wu Jun's Marines poured inside. The facility was a nightmare made real. Corridors lined with cells, each one holding 2 or 3 children. Medical rooms where experiments had been conducted. Training areas where children were conditioned to obey. And at the center, the processing rooms, where new arrivals were stripped of their identities and given numbers instead of names. The Calvoth guards fought hard. They knew what would happen if they surrendered. But they were fighting men and women who had seen too much, who had read the files, who knew exactly what happened in places like this. The Marines didn't take prisoners. They didn't accept surrenders. They just kept moving forward, clearing room after room, saving child after child. Private Hyan found herself in a cell block with 50 children, all under age 10. They were huddled in a corner, terrified by the sounds of battle. She removed her helmet and knelt down. "Hey, it's okay. I'm here to help. We're taking you home." A small alien child looked at her with huge eyes. "Are you real? They said nobody would come. They said everyone forgot about us." Hiran felt tears on her face. "We didn't forget. We never forget. And we came as fast as we could. You're safe now." General Wu Jin reached the facility's command center and found something that made his blood run cold. The room was filled with computer screens showing every cell, every child. A Calvoth officer stood at the main console, his hand on a control that would flood the entire facility with poison gas. "Stay back, or I kill them all," the officer said. "All 3,000 children dead in 30 seconds. Wu Jin didn't hesitate. He drew his sidearm and shot the officer through the head. The alien fell, his hand sliding off the control. Wu Jin grabbed the console and began shutting down security systems throughout the facility. "All unit security is down. Sweep every level. Get those kids out." It took 6 hours to clear the entire facility. Room by room, cell by cell, the Marines rescued children who had been enslaved for months or years. Some children were injured, some were sick, some were so traumatized they couldn't speak, but they were alive and they were free. In one of the lower levels, Dr. Hannah Park moved through the cells with a medical team. She joined the landing force specifically for this moment. She checked each child, noted injuries, provided emergency care, and then she found them. Cell 247, 8 human children, ages 10 to 15, 3 boys, 5 girls. They were thin, covered in scars and bruises, but alive. When they saw Hana, one of the girls started crying. "You came. You actually came for us." Hana rushed forward and hugged her. "Of course we came. Did you think Earth would forget you? Did you think we'd leave you here?" The girl was sobbing now. "They said nobody cared. They said Earth sold us. They said we were just property. They lied. Earth never stopped looking. And when we found out where you were, we came with every ship we had. You're going home." The youngest of the group, a boy who was 13 now but had been only 10 when he was taken, asked quietly, "What about the others? The alien kids? We're taking all of you. Every single child in this facility. Earth doesn't leave kids behind, no matter what species they are." Around them, Marines were loading children onto transport shuttles. 3,000 kids ranging from age 5 to 14, from over 30 different species. Some had been slaves for years. Some had arrived just weeks ago. All of them were going home. Above the planet, Admiral Ju received the reports. "All children secured, Admiral. 0 casualties among the rescued. We did it." She allowed herself a small smile. "Pass the word to the fleet. Mission accomplished. Begin recovery operations. And someone contact Earth Command. Tell President Hyun we found them. We found our kids." In the facility's main hall, General Wu Jin stood among the rescued children and their Marine rescuers. He looked at the soldiers, many of them crying openly as they held scared kids. He looked at the children, slowly beginning to understand they were really safe. And he thought about the Calvoth who had run this place, who had treated these children like objects. The facility had one more use. "Hi." Commander DeHun Park studied the coordinates intelligence director Minho had sent him. The location was at the very edge of known space, in a region where no official colonies existed. Long-range scans showed a space station, but it wasn't on any registry. No transponder, no identification markers, just a dark structure floating in the void, drawing massive amounts of power from hidden reactors. "This is it," Minho had told him, "the architect's personal base. Everything we've captured points here." This is where it all started. DeHun's ship approached in stealth mode, invisible to sensors. He took a small team, just 12 soldiers, the best of the best. If the architect was as dangerous as the files suggested, a large force would just attract attention. Better to go quiet. The station was enormous, big enough to hold thousands of people. But thermal scans showed only one life sign inside. The architect lived alone in this massive structure. That didn't make Daehyun feel better. It made him more nervous. What kind of person lives alone in a place this big? Private Hire and whispered. "The kind we're here to stop," Daehyun replied. "Stay sharp. We don't know what we're walking into." They boarded through an airlock on the station's lower level. The interior was lit by soft blue lights that made everything look cold and dead. The walls were lined with display cases, each one containing something that made Daewon's skin crawl. Clothing. Small clothing. Children's clothing from hundreds of different species, each one carefully preserved and labeled. The dates went back centuries. "What is this place?" one of the soldiers asked. "A museum," Daehyun said quietly. "The architect collects things. Specifically, they collect children." They moved deeper into the station, passing through room after room of displays. Each one showed artifacts from different species, toys, drawings, personal items, everything carefully organized and preserved like exhibits in a museum. But these weren't historical artifacts. These were things taken from real children who had been sold into slavery. In one room, they found computers filled with files, years of research into child psychology, conditioning techniques, training methods. The architect had been studying how to break children's minds and rebuild them as slaves. They had perfected the process over hundreds of years, testing different approaches on thousands of victims. "This isn't just a slaver," Hin said, her voice shaking. "This is a monster." They found the architect in the central chamber, a massive room filled with more display cases. The being was Rexian, one of the insectoid species that made up the Coalition Council. They stood in front of a case containing children's drawings, studying them like art. "I knew someone would come eventually," the architect said without turning around. Their voice through the translator was calm, almost pleasant. "I'm actually impressed Earth found me so quickly. Your intelligence network is better than expected. You're under arrest," Dion said, raising his weapon for crimes against children across the galaxy. "You're going to stand trial, am I?" The architect finally turned to face them. "And what court has jurisdiction here? We're in unclaimed space. No laws apply. Besides, I can offer you something valuable. Information? There are other networks, other operations. I know where they all are. I helped to design most of them. Let me live, and I'll tell you everything." Dahan looked at the displays around him. Hundreds of cases, thousands of items, each one representing a child whose life had been destroyed. He thought about the children they'd rescued, the ones still waiting for help, the ones who died before rescue came. No. What? Earth doesn't negotiate with people who hurt children. We don't make deals. We don't offer mercy. You had 300 years to stop this. 300 years to feel guilt or remorse or basic human decency. But you're not human, are you? Here's something worse. The architect's mandibles clicked in what might have been a laugh. "You can't kill me. You're soldiers. You follow rules. You have regulations." Dahan opened a communication channel so Earth Command could hear everything. "Sir, I've located the architect. They're attempting to negotiate, requesting permission to terminate." President Hyan's voice came back immediately. "Permission granted. Commander, show the galaxy what happens to people like that." Dehai raised his weapon. The architect tried to speak to offer more information to bargain for their life. It didn't matter. The shot echoed through the station. "Set charges throughout this place," Dehan ordered. "I want everything destroyed. The files, the displays, all of it. This station becomes a tomb." They downloaded the computer files first, securing the information for trials and investigations. Then they placed charges in every room, every corridor, every system. When they left, the station tore itself apart in a series of explosions that could be seen from light years away. Commander Dahayan to Earth Command. "The architect is dead. The station is destroyed. We have the files. Good work, Commander. Come home." Back on Earth, Dr. Hana worked with the rescued children. Over the past 3 months, Earth had recovered over 30,000 children from hundreds of facilities across the galaxy. The number was staggering, but it was also heartbreaking. Intelligence suggested there were still more out there, maybe another 30,000. Finding them all would take years. The children in her care showed slow but steady progress. The younger ones adapted faster, their minds more flexible. The older ones struggled more, carrying memories they couldn't forget. But they were all safe now, and that was what mattered. One of the human children, a girl named Down, who was 15 now, sat in Hana's office. She'd been 11 when she was taken. 4 years as a slave had changed her in ways that couldn't be seen, but were always there. "I keep having nightmares," Dawn said quietly. "I dream I'm back there and nobody comes to save me. I wake up and have to remind myself it's over. It takes time," Hana said gently. "Your mind is healing, but healing isn't fast. The important thing is you're safe now and you're not alone. There are thousands of kids going through the same thing, and we're all here to help." "Dr. Hana, why did Earth do this? We're just kids, just 12 humans out of millions. Why risk so much for us?" Hana looked at her with surprise. "Because you're children. That's all the reason Earth needs. We don't measure the value of kids by counting numbers. We don't ask if it's worth it. When children are in danger, we come for them. All of them. Always." Dwan started crying. Hana held her, letting her release years of pain and fear and loneliness. Outside the window, children from dozens of species played in the garden, free and safe. Earth had kept its promise. The war ended not with a treaty, but with exhaustion. The major slaving organizations collapsed. The Calvoth Empire dissolved. The Drex Consortium went bankrupt. Dozens of governments fell when their citizens learned the truth about what their leaders had done. Ambassador Su Jin worked tirelessly to rebuild something better from the ashes. The old coalition council was gone, replaced by elected representatives who faced strict oversight. The coalition charter was completely rewritten. Crimes against children became the highest priority. Above everything else, Any species caught engaging in slave trade would face immediate expulsion and sanctions. "We can't change the past," Sujin told the new council. "We can't bring back the children who died or erase the trauma of those who survived. But we can make sure it never happens again. Earth will enforce this. We're creating a guardian fleet specifically to protect children across the galaxy. Any species that wants to join us is welcome. Any species that tries to stop us will regret it." 50 species volunteered within the first week. Turns out most beings in the galaxy really did care about children. They just needed someone to show them how to fight for them. Fleet Admiral Ju oversaw the creation of the Guardian Fleet. It was a joint force of human and alien vessels trained in Earth military tactics, dedicated to one mission: protect kids. Captain Tai Jin, promoted to Admiral, led the training program. "We're not soldiers anymore," he told his students. "We're guardians. Our job is to watch over the young and helpless of every species. We don't start fights, but we finish them. We don't negotiate with slavers, but we offer mercy to those who surrender. And we never ever give up on a child in danger." The first class graduated with over 1,000 officers from 20 different species. They swore an oath, written by humans but meant for everyone. "I will protect the children of all species. I will not negotiate with those who harm them. I will not rest while any child suffers. This I swear on my life and my honor." 10 years after Captain Tin sent his first message from the Vrexian trade hub, the last known slave facility was raided. The final child rescued was a Duovian girl who had been enslaved for 15 years. She was technically an adult now, but Earth still counted her recovery as a promise fulfilled. President Hun, now old and gray but still in office, gave a speech at the memorial ceremony. "We recovered 31,000 children. We lost countless more who died before we could reach them. We can never bring them back. We can never undo the damage that was done. But we changed the galaxy. We taught every species a lesson they should have known but forgot. Children are precious. They're the future, and anyone who harms them will face Earth's wrath." He paused, looking at the memorial wall covered with names. Some people ask if it was worth it. The first attack came so quietly that nobody noticed until it was over. Commander Dahyun Park led a team of 30 soldiers through the corridors of a slave facility on the planet Visfor. The facility was supposed to be protected by advanced shields, automated defenses, and 200 armed guards. According to Coalition intelligence, it was impossible to infiltrate without being detected. The slavers felt completely safe there. They were wrong. Dehi wore suits that Earth had been developing in secret for 20 years. The technology bent light around them, made them invisible to sensors, and suppressed all sound. They walked through the facility like ghosts. The guards at the entrance never saw them pass. The cameras never recorded their presence. The automated defenses never activated. The team reached the holding cells in the facility's basement. Through his helmet display, Dahan could see 63 children inside, ranging from age 6 to 14. Most were sleeping on thin mats. Some were crying quietly. None of them were human, but that didn't matter to Dahan. The mission was clear. Save all children. Eliminate all slavers. Leave nothing standing. Team 1, secure the children. Team 2, disable the guards. Team 3, set charges. We have 10 minutes. They moved like water through the facility. Team 1 opened the cell doors using codes that Engineer J had hacked from orbit. The children woke up confused and scared. The soldiers removed their helmets so the kids could see their faces. One soldier, a young woman named Private High, knelt down and spoke in a gentle voice. "It's okay. We're here to save you. You're going home." Team 2 found the guards in their barracks sleeping peacefully. They never woke up. Dehi didn't feel bad about it. These people had watched children suffer and done nothing. Some had done worse. The files they'd captured showed everything. There would be no mercy for people like this. Team 3 placed charges throughout the facility. Power generators, support columns, computer systems. When they left, there would be nothing for anyone to investigate. No evidence, no witnesses, just ashes. 9 minutes and 40 seconds later, Dean and his team were back at the extraction point with 63 confused but safe children. The transport ship lifted off. 30 seconds later, The facility exploded in a fireball that could be seen from orbit. "Mission complete," DeHaan reported. "All targets secured. 0 casualties on our side. The facility is gone." This same scene repeated across 3 sectors simultaneously. Coast recon teams hit 12 facilities in one night. They rescued 470 children. They killed over 3,000 slavers, and they disappeared without a trace, leaving only burning buildings and freed children behind. The galaxy panicked. Captain Tae-jin stood on the bridge of his ship, but it wasn't the Horizon's Dawn anymore. That diplomatic vessel had been recalled to Earth and replaced with something much darker. The ship he commanded now had no official name. Military records listed it as a research vessel, but its hull was covered in stealth plating. Its weapons were hidden in false cargo bays, and its engines used quantum phase technology that made it invisible to every sensor the Coalition had ever developed. "Sir, we've located another transport." Lieutenant Yuna said she was still his communications officer, but now she wore a military uniform instead of a diplomatic one. "Slave ship Prophet's Edge carrying an estimated 200 children. Current location, Sector 7, heading for Dre Space. Do we have clearance to engage?" Admiral Ju says all slave vessels are valid targets. No authorization needed. Tae-jin smiled coldly. "Good. Plot an intercept course. Let's introduce them to Earth's new navy." The Prophet's Edge was a massive ship, 3 times bigger than Tae-jin's vessel. Its shields could stop missiles. Its armor could take direct hits from plasma cannons. Its crew of 200 included 50 combat veterans. The captain had been running slaves for 30 years and never lost a cargo. He felt completely safe. He died without ever knowing what hit him. Tae-jin's ship appeared from nowhere, already firing. The first shots disabled the slave ship's engines. The second volley took out its weapons. The third opened holes in the hull, but carefully positioned so the cargo hold stayed safe. The entire attack lasted 90 seconds. "Send in the boarding team." Marines in powered armor crashed through the damaged sections. They swept through the ship like a storm, securing children and eliminating crew. The slaver captain tried to fight back. He managed to kill 2 Marines before a third one put 3 rounds through his chest. The battle was over in minutes. On the bridge of his ship, Chin watched the rescue operation and felt nothing but cold satisfaction. "How many children?" 207, sir. Ages 5 to 13. 15 different species, no humans. Get them to the medical ship. Make sure they're treated well, and have Engineer J download the ship's entire database before we destroy it." "Yes, sir." What should we do with the crew members who surrendered? Tae-jun thought about that. Earth Command had been very clear about rules of engagement. Children were to be saved. Slavers were to be eliminated, but prisoners who surrendered should be taken for trial. But Tae-jun had seen the files. He knew what these people had done. Did any of them try to protect the children during the fight? No, sir. 2 tried to use children as shields. Then they're not prisoners. They're dead slavers who just don't know it yet. Airlock them. There was a moment of silence on the bridge. Then Yuna said quietly, "Yes, sir." Back on Earth, Dr. Hana Park worked in a facility that didn't officially exist. It was built in just 2 weeks, funded by emergency authorization from President Hyund himself. 3,000 doctors, nurses, and psychologists volunteered to staff it. The place had one purpose: help the rescued children heal. The first group arrived in the middle of the night, 63 children from the Veros for raid, scared and confused. Many had been slaves for years. Some didn't remember their real names. Others had been conditioned to believe they were property and nothing more. Hana met them at the landing pad along with 50 other staff members. She knelt down to eye level with the nearest child, a small alien girl with blue skin and tentacles instead of hair. "Hello, my name is Hana. You're safe now. Nobody will hurt you here." The girl looked at her with enormous eyes. "Are you going to sell us to someone else?" Hana felt her heart break. "No, sweetheart, never. We're going to help you get home to your family, and until then, you're going to live here where people will take care of you and keep you safe." "Why?" "Because you're children. You deserve to be safe and happy. That's all the reason we need." The girl started crying. So did half the other children. Hana held the girl close and let her cry, knowing it was the first step toward healing. Behind her, other staff members were doing the same, each one holding a traumatized child and promising them the nightmare was over. But the nightmare wasn't over for everyone. Intelligence Director Minho Seo sat in his office, looking at screens filled with data. His team had been working non-stop for weeks, analyzing everything they'd captured from raided facilities. The scope of the slave trade was worse than they'd first thought. The 40,000 children estimate was low. The real number might be closer to 60,000. And the files revealed something else. Slavery wasn't just for labor. Some children were sold to collectors. Others were used in experiments. Some just disappeared into private estates and were never seen again. Minho found one name that appeared hundreds of times in the documents. The architect. This person seemed to run the entire operation. Not for money, though. The architect could have made twice as much profit by selling adults, but they specifically wanted children, always children between ages 5 and 14. The psychological profiles in the file suggested someone obsessed with collecting pure examples of different species. "We need to find this person," Minho said to his team. "The architect is the key to everything. Find them, and we can shut down the whole network." His best analyst, a young woman named Jenna, pulled up a star map. "I've traced financial transfers across 40 systems. They all lead to one location, an unregistered space station at the edge of charted space. No official records, no registry, but massive power consumption and regular traffic from known slave ships. Send the coordinates to Commander Dion. He'll want to handle this personally." While Earth's military operations continued, Ambassador Su Jin worked on a different kind of battlefield. She couldn't fight or rescue children, but she could talk. And she was very, very good at talking. She met with ambassadors from dozens of species, all of them shocked by what Earth had revealed. Many had no idea the slave trade even existed. Their governments had hidden it from them. Now they wanted answers, and they wanted to help. "Earth doesn't want to conquer anyone," Sujin explained to a group of concerned diplomats. "We just want the children, all of them. If your government cooperates, gives us the locations and helps with rescues, Earth will consider you allies. If they resist or try to hide evidence, we'll consider them enemies. It's that simple." "But Earth is so small," one ambassador said. "How can you fight the entire galaxy?" Sujin smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. "Have you seen what we've done in the last 3 weeks? 12 facilities destroyed, 2,000 children rescued, 0 losses on our side." The message from Captain Tae Jin arrived at Earth Command at 3 o'clock in the morning, Greenwich time. It went directly to Fleet Admiral Ji Woo Kang, who hadn't slept well in years. She opened the file, expecting another routine report. 5 minutes later, she was on the phone with President Hyan Lee. "Sir, you need to see this right now." President Hyan arrived at the command center within the hour. He was a calm man who rarely showed emotion, even during the worst crisis. But as he watched the files that Tai Jin sent, his face turned to stone. Image after image of children in cages, manifests listing them like cargo. Age ranges, species classifications, price listings, and there, in the middle of it all, 12 human faces with dead eyes and identification numbers burned into their skin. "How long has this been happening?" His voice was quiet, but everyone in the room heard the rage underneath. "According to the database, this particular network has operated for over 300 years. Admiral Ju said, "The human children were taken 3 years ago from the colony transport New Promise. We reported it as a pirate attack. Total loss. No survivors. We told their families they were dead. Yes, sir. We had no reason to believe otherwise. The ship's wreckage was found. The black box showed a fight with unknown attackers. We assumed the worst." President Hyun closed his eyes, but they weren't dead. They were 7 to 12 years old, and for 3 years they've been slaves while we did nothing. "We didn't know, sir. We didn't look." He opened his eyes again. "Call an emergency session. I want every department head, every military commander, every intelligence officer. I want them here in 2 hours. And someone wake up Ambassador Su Jin. She needs to contact the coalition immediately." The emergency session lasted 7 hours. Intelligence Director Min Hoseo presented his findings. His team had been working non-stop since the files arrived, cross-referencing everything with their own databases. What they discovered made the room go silent. The slave trade involves at least 6 major alien empires, Minho explained, showing charts on the main screen. It has protection from 17 coalition member species, including some on the ruling council. Estimated number of enslaved children across the galaxy, 40,000, maybe more. The trade has been operating for centuries, and everyone in power either participates or looks the other way. Why children? Ask General Wu Jin-bei, commander of the Marine Corps. Adults would be stronger, more capable. Children are easier to control, easier to condition. Their minds are flexible. You can make them forget who they were and believe they're property. The files include psychological profiles and training programs. It's Minho stopped his voice breaking. It's systematic, efficient. They've perfected the process over hundreds of years. President Hyan looked at Admiral Zhou. What's our military status? We can mobilize within 48 hours. Every ship, every soldier. But sir, we're talking about going against 6 empires and possibly the coalition itself. We're outnumbered and outgunned. If this turns into a war, it's already a war. They just didn't tell us about it. Han stood up, addressing the room. I don't care about the odds. I don't care about diplomatic consequences. They took our children and sold them like animals. That ends now. Admiral, you have unlimited authority. Build me a fleet. Director Minho, find every single location where children are held. General Wu Jin, prepare your Marines. We're going to get our kids back and we're going to burn down everyone who stands in our way. While Earth prepared for war, Ambassador Su Jin Nam was having the worst day of her career. She stood in the Coalition Council chamber, surrounded by aliens from 50 different species. Most of them looked bored. Some looked annoyed. None of them looked concerned. Ambassador Nam, you're wasting the Council's time, said Council Chair Vextor, a tall insectoid alien who spoke through clicking mandibles. The files you've presented show a minor labor dispute in the outer sectors. This is not Council business. A minor labor dispute. Sujin couldn't believe what she was hearing. These are children, 40,000 children enslaved across the galaxy. The files show Council members are involved in protecting the trade. You misunderstand galactic economics, Ambassador. What you call slavery, we call workforce optimization. These individuals are given food, shelter, and purpose. Many species donate their young to these programs voluntarily. Voluntarily, they're kidnapped and sold. That is your emotional human perspective. The galaxy operates on different principles. We suggest you pay the appropriate recovery fees for your lost property and stop making accusations against respected council members. Sujin felt her blood turn cold. Recovery fees. You want us to buy back our own children? It's standard procedure. Surely Earth can afford a modest sum for 12 individuals. We can arrange a payment plan if your economy is insufficient. She looked around the chamber. 50 species, thousands of years of civilization, technology beyond Earth's dreams, and not one of them cared about 40,000 enslaved children. Not one of them saw anything wrong with this. I need to speak with my government, she said quietly. Of course, we're sure Earth will be reasonable about this matter. It's really quite simple. Sujin left the chamber and immediately called President Hyun. Sir, they don't care. They called it workforce optimization. They told us to pay a recovery fee for our own children. And the way they said it, this is normal for them. This is just how the galaxy works. On the other end, she heard the president take a deep breath. Thank you, Ambassador. I need you to do something for me. Go back to your office and prepare a broadcast. I'm going to make a statement and I want it transmitted on every coalition channel. Can you do that, sir? Unauthorized broadcasts are against treaty law. They could revoke our coalition membership. I know. Do it anyway. 3 hours later, every screen in coalition space showed the same image. President Hyun Lee, sitting at his desk in the White House with the flags of Earth's nations behind him. He looked tired, old, and absolutely furious. My name is Hyun Lee, President of the United Earth Government. I'm speaking to every being in the galaxy today because we've learned something terrible. For 300 years, a slave trade has operated under coalition protection. 40,000 children from dozens of species are currently enslaved. 12 of those children are human, taken from us 3 years ago." He paused, letting that sink in. "We asked the coalition for justice. They gave us excuses. We asked for our children. They told us to pay a recovery fee, to pay the people who kidnapped and enslaved our kids, as if our children were lost luggage." Another pause. His voice got quieter but harder. "So, I'm going to make this very simple. To the slavers, wherever you are, run. Earth is coming for you. To the coalition, stand aside. We don't want your territory or your resources. We just want the children. All of them. Every single one. To our 12 human children. And to the thousands of other children waiting in the dark. We're coming. We didn't forget you. We didn't abandon you, and we're going to bring you home." He leaned forward. "Earth is not a powerful species. We're new here. We don't have the biggest ships or the most advanced technology, but we have something the galaxy forgot. We remember that children are precious. We remember that some things are worth fighting for, no matter the cost. And we remember how to be angry." The broadcast showed images from the files, children in cages, the manifests, the price lists, everything. This is what the coalition protects. This is what they call normal. This is what they told us to accept. Earth's answer is no. We will not accept it. We will not negotiate. We will not pay fees to criminals. We will not follow rules written by people who sell children. President Hun stood up. "To every species watching this, your children are in those files too. Your governments knew. Your leaders participated, and they told you nothing. Ask them why. Ask them how many of your young ones they sold. Ask them what else they're hiding." He put his hand on his heart. "Earth remembers. Earth does not forgive crimes against children." Fleet Admiral Ju Kang now has unlimited authority to conduct rescue operations. Every Earth military vessel is mobilizing. Our economy is shifting to full war production. Our reserves are activated. We're ready to stand alone against the entire galaxy if we have to. The president's eyes were hard as diamonds, but I don't think we'll have to, because I don't believe the galaxy is full of monsters. I believe most beings would be horrified if they knew the truth. So now they know. Now everyone knows and they can choose. Stand with the children or stand with the slavers. There is no middle ground. He sat back down. This is Earth's message to the galaxy. We asked for justice through proper channels. We were denied. So we'll get justice our own way. To the children waiting for rescue, hold on. We're coming. And heaven help anyone who gets in our way. The broadcast ended for 10 seconds. There was silence across coalition space. Then the messages started coming in. Thousands of them. Millions. Species demanding answers from their governments. Parents searching the slave manifests for names they recognized. Politicians calling for investigations. Citizens organizing protests. And in the outer sectors, in the dark places where children were held in chains, slavers looked at each other and asked the same question. How fast can we run from an angry Earth? They were about to find out.